It takes time to find the right therapist. Someone who understands your values, but also makes you feel comfortable, pushes you in the right ways, and ideally takes your insurance. ZocDoc can help you find the right therapist by providing options and details to find the right fit for you. Plus, you can instantly book an appointment directly on their website. I have been using ZocDoc for 8 years, maybe. I use it for my primary care, for my dermatologist, for my gyno, for my ENT. I use it for everything. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/magical to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/magical. ZocDoc.com/magical. Welcome to the Magical Overthinkers podcast, a show for thought spiralers, exploring the subjects we can't stop overthinking about, from parasocial relationships to billionaire worship. If you identify as an overthinker, a thought spiraler, but also a dreamer, if you find that you get stuck in your own head a lot of the time, then you're in the right place. This podcast is here to help us think less about the things that don't matter and more about the things that do. I'm your host, Amanda Montel. Today, we're overthinking about crying. The idea for today's subject came through a pitch from the representation of today's guest, MJ Renshaw, who is a breathwork facilitator and the author of a new book called How to Cry. I definitely identify as a crybaby. I did more so before I was properly medicated for my anxiety, but I was totally gripped when this pitch came through because it opened with the following question. What if the most transformational wellness tool wasn't a new supplement or spa treatment, but our own tears? Studies show that people who chronically suppress emotions face a 35% higher risk of premature death. We are living in a really strange time with respect to emotions. Living in the digital age keeps so many of us in a chronic state of disembodiment, reactivity, disconnected from our authentic, fully present emotional states. Meanwhile, our culture gives us so much confusing and conflicting messaging about crying in particular, like that it's a sign of weakness, it's just something that women do, it's inappropriate to do at work. And I can't help but think about how the most powerful man in our country, and some might say the world, is someone who clearly is unable to access the full spectrum of his emotions, and the consequences of that are extremely grave. I'm a person who has cried during arguments, who's been criticized for crying during arguments, who will also easily shed a tear at the sight of a video of a cute little pig, which begs questions like, do those behaviors make me immature? Manipulative? How much crying is too much or not enough? How much is healthy? And actually, from a survival standpoint, why do we cry at all? On the Magical Overthinkers Instagram, I put out a call to receive anonymous thought spirals for this episode, as I do every 2 weeks, and received hundreds. Clearly, a lot of us are spiraling about this bizarrely taboo emotional reaction to things. I absolutely loved this conversation with MJ Renshaw about all things crying and more. It started out with a bit of a digression about technology and our bodies, but I loved it, and I hope you enjoy listening as well. And feel free to leave a comment on Spotify or on our Instagram if you have thoughts about today's episode. I absolutely love to hear from you. And with that, I give you my interview with MJ Renshaw on overthinking about crying. Well, welcome to the Magical Overthinkers podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You were just crying before you got here, you mentioned.
I did. Yeah, I cried.
Okay, good. You identify as a crybaby.
Yeah.
I identify as a crybaby too.
But I'm new to it.
Whoa.
I know.
Okay, so could you introduce yourself, your work, and your relationship to crying for our listeners?
So I'm MJ Renshaw, author, but also I have my own business that kind of has nothing to do with crying, but more to do with crying than I thought.
I think all business has to do with crying.
Fair. That is facts. It's true. But, my personal experience with crying was that I was an overly sensitive kid, like certified crybaby. Grew up in a home with a culture where it was like, you're so dramatic, you're too sensitive. I got sent to my room a lot for crying. So I shut it down. Like the whole thing got shut down. And then I went through life experiences where life got lifey. and I lost my big brother in a car accident, and then my dad committed suicide, and like all these bad things happened, like bad stuff. And I didn't cry and I didn't feel anything of it. Went to university, did acid, as you do. It unleashed something in me where I was like, oh, I have not been living. I spent my whole first acid trip just in a bathroom crying. And I remember looking at my friends and being like, this is the best I've felt in so long. But they were like horrified, being like, are you okay? You're having a bad trip. And I was like, no, this is very good. And that's where it kind of clicked. And it's been like an onward journey in my life now of opening myself up to the full experience of the world.
Yeah.
Of being like, how can I feel everything? Because that's the point.
I relate to this story a lot. How did these personal experiences lead you to your book?
I think going through the experience, like I grew up, I mentioned my dad committed suicide. Like I watched him experience his trauma before I was born and then dive into the world of opiates and eventually fentanyl. And like that man was so emotionally stunted. And that I think was the thing that killed him. It was all these just little things of pointing me in the direction of life isn't about knowing everything. And I keep coming back to that in my work, in my personal life. And that's kind of just the journey that I'm on right now. And then it's so serendipitous with AI.
Oof.
Right?
Don't get me started.
No, dude. Before I was like ranting at them. Now we have something that knows everything. At least like a lot of the things. It knows a lot of the things.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of data. And it's no longer we go to someone and there's like the smartest person at the party. Right? There's this entity that I've kind of joined where it's like, if you want to know the data, the Wikipedia, if you want to know the Reddit or whatever, there's this thing that you can go to and it's going to be able to pull up all that and regurgitate it back to you. And I think we're entering into this new era where humans are going to have to be forced to contend with their emotions and contend with like being in our bodies.
I so agree. I mean, I'm obsessed, especially on this podcast and with The Age of Magical Overthinking, the book that like informed this podcast. I'm just obsessed with living in that push-pull between logos and pathos, because living in the information age, we are forced to contend with an unprecedented amount of knowledge. And I love knowing things. But at the same time, like human beings can only process so much. And we are feelers, you know, like feeling is so important for survival, like because it's connective tissue socially. And I just have to tell you, like, so I just finished writing my first fiction project, my first novel, and now I'm working on another one. But this novel connects exactly to what you're talking about with AI and emotion, because it's about this genius but emotionally inept linguist who ironically can speak all these different languages, but she's not able to use language for the one thing it's really meant to do, which is connect. And like ultimately embracing our bodily selves in a time when we're like increasingly encouraged to disembody is like something I think about a lot.
100%. I read a book a few years ago called Mary Magdalene Revealed. I'm not religious. I just was kind of interested in her. A bunch of friends had told me to read it. So I read it and it blew my mind. I didn't know Mary Magdalene had a testament that was not put into the Bible. Many different reasons, probably the biggest one being she was a woman.
Yeah.
But they found it. And in the testament of Mary Magdalene, it repeatedly says that you have to view the world through your heart.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing missing.
True.
Right?
Yes.
Like every single thing.
Look, you seem pretty nerdy. I'm nerdy. And like, it's important for us to remind ourselves to like reconnect with our bodies. But then there are some people out here who are not critically thinking, but they think they are because they're like conspiracy theorists who think that research is falling down a 4chan rabbit hole.
It's not someone on TikTok.
Yeah.
Or like a guy on a podcast.
As opposed to two women on a podcast.
Let's be real.
But let's be clear. No, but like I think this podcast is distinctly through a feminine lens, because this is a podcast about reckoning with ideas and expressing like vulnerable curiosity about intense and sort of like taboo subjects, but not from a sort of condescending position of like, let me tell you the truth about this. It's like, let's contend with this. Let's overthink about this.
I'll never forget in university giving my first essay in, and my prof was like, listen, this is good, but it can be better. And I'm going to tell you how. You don't just argue your point of view. You have to think about what the counter arguments are going to be and address them throughout it. And I think that is a skill that is lacking, because I struggle to vehemently argue something because I'm always thinking about like, well, but this could be a counter argument. But that person, you know what I mean? There's so many points of view. I think that's one step of critical thinking. And that is definitely lacking.
100%. Well, because especially on social media, which like blunts arguments, there is such an incentive to take a hard stance on something and not entertain pushback. And I mean, this sounds like a cult podcast.
I know, I was going to say, we're going into cult area
now
where
culty.
people are just like, this is my identity.
Totally. People 100% like will ascribe their entire sense of community and self-worth to like a sketchy idea. Very confounding. Okay, so normally I open this podcast by asking my guest, what's an irrational thought spiral living rent-free in your head right now?
I know you do. And my irrational thought spiral has been, what the fuck am I going to say? So that's been it. It's like, because I overthink about so many things. Yeah. But I think if I'm going to be honest, is that I'm concerned about a new class that's emerging of human beings, which is our brain's ability to function.
Wait, what?
So I think humans are now being classified in a new way. So it's no longer money or race, like which are historically how we've classified people, or, you know, sex. I think a new class is emerging, which is your ability to use your brain. For example, I had to fire someone who worked for me because he was creating AI models of women and selling them on OnlyFans.
Oh my God.
To whom?
Right.
Exactly. So now you see where the class is emerging. So there's people who are completely victim to this. Like they're like buying it and they're remortgaging their house and they're going into debt to consume slob.
Okay. Right.
Like cranker slob.
Yes. Oh my God. I was thinking about something similar. Remember before the printing press when
I do remember that. I'm a bit, I don't know if you guys see this on the video, but I'm a bit older.
Like, I'm 1,000 years old. No, before the printing press, literacy was only accessible by like the priests and scribes and like super high up people. But before that, widespread literacy didn't exist. And in the age of social media, I low-key think that we're like re-entering that time when there's this divide between people who only consume their news in the reactive space of Instagram, TikTok.
Clickbait. It's like emotional baiting.
Yes.
And it offers no holistic viewpoint. Like there's no cubism to it. It's just like, here is the thing. And it's often not even true.
Exactly. Sometimes it's slop. And then sometimes it's literally just there to rage bait you or like whip you up into a state of tribalism or reactivity or whatever. And then there's this other class of people who maybe have distanced themselves from social media or were never really that active on it and who actually like sit down and read. I find that my blood pressure literally lowers when I read even just like a 700-word article about something that I consumed just a headline and some Instagram comments about 10 minutes ago.
It's true.
You know, and that lowered blood pressure allows me to think better and like decide what I believe better.
I think it's going to be a very interesting time for neurologists and people doing scans.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see, I presume, that there will be structural brain changes that are happening in according to what environments you're choosing and how you're choosing to spend your time. And like I'm saying, this is what I think about, is that if people are spending 10 hours of their day on TikTok, we can't expect them to have cognitive abilities. Yeah. And they are going to be people in the next 10 years when AI kind of gets extrapolated. These companies, basically, they want your attention. That's how they make their money. If you're spending that many hours a day online watching short form content, you are being literally harvested. And I'm saying that intentionally because they're changing your brain. Yeah, they're taking an organ in your body and being like, give me your mind. And now your organ is going to change.
It's Black Mirror.
It's crazy.
It is. Especially too when like there's less of an incentive now to pursue a degree in software engineering or like all of these jobs that were once considered prestigious because it's like, okay, well, it's just going to be outsourced to AI.
Yeah.
So now it's like, what are people supposed to do?
Cry.
Cry. Okay, great.
But it brings me back because it's like, why are you on short form content? Why did you pick that up? It's smoking, right? It's like, I know I do it when I'm in a situation where I feel uncomfortable being in the present moment. And why am I uncomfortable?
Well,
I don't want to feel something.
Yeah.
It's like, that's addiction 101.
Yeah, it is addictive. And they're hooking the kids the way that the tobacco industry once did. And so we can't even blame them for that. But we can talk about how to cope with Black Mirror becoming reality. And reality is literally scarier than Black Mirror in some capacities.
But it's like, that's where I see like the highest class system of people who have agency over their own lives or who don't fall into being harvested are the people who are self-aware, capable of being present. And it's like, intelligence has nothing to fucking do with what school you went to. It doesn't matter if you have a degree. It is your ability to think open-mindedly.
Yeah. And
in a kind way. Like that's really it. It's just like, can you hear someone else's point of view and be like, oh, I could see how you could come there. And can you be kind about it?
That's, again, like a very feminine lens through which to view intelligence. And I completely agree. When I think of the smartest person I know, it's probably my brother. You know, he like went to Brown and blah, but that's not why. He's the smartest person I know. He is so good at breaking down complex subjects that I could truly never understand in a million years if I just like read an article about it, and making a sound argument based on that complex idea that everyone can find common ground in.
That is. My husband's like that. It like annoys me sometimes.
I know. It is like low-key
Let's fight about it, though.
Yeah, let's fight about it. Let's cry about it.
Yeah, that too.
I know all too well that it takes time to find the right therapist. Someone who understands your values, but also makes you feel comfortable, pushes you in the right ways, and ideally takes your insurance. I know I'm personally very selective about not only my therapist, but all my medical providers. ZocDoc can help you find the right therapist by providing options and details to find the right fit for you. Plus, you can instantly book an appointment directly on their website. And I'm not just talking about therapist appointments. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare all types of in-network doctors, from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. ZocDoc offers over 100,000 high-quality doctors, and you can filter for those who take your insurance, who are located nearby, who are the right fit for any need you might have, and who are highly rated by verified patients. Once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings, choose a time that works for you, and click to instantly book. I have been using ZocDoc for 6, 7, 8 years maybe. I use it for my primary care, for my dermatologist, for my gyno, for my ENT. I use it for everything. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/magical to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/magical. ZocDoc.com/magical. Okay, so we're talking about crying today. Well, we're talking about so much because we contain multitudes, but mostly we're talking about crying. And we're going to be focusing for the rest of our conversation on the anonymous thought spirals and overthinking questions that our listeners
These are
submitted.
my people.
Yes, they are our people. If you, sweet magical overthinker, want to submit an anonymous question for a future episode, just follow us on Instagram at Magical Overthinkers, and that's where you can do that. We're going to try to get through as many of these as we possibly can. And so I'm going to challenge you with brevity.
Okay.
That's hard for me.
I'm going to do my best.
We're going to try.
I'm going to do my best.
The first thought spiral is simply, what is a normal amount of crying?
There is none.
Mm-hmm.
It's personal. I would say it's abnormal if you never do. It's probably abnormal if you do all of the time. And I don't mean like you cry once a day. Like, I mean like you're like sobbing all the time. So if you're somewhere in between those two, that's cool.
Slay. Why do some people cry more easily than others?
I would say it probably has to do with your nervous system and where it's at. That's where I would probably go back to in terms of physiology. I see the people who don't cry are typically people who are in a nervous system state of fight, flight. They're more sympathetic. They don't feel safe to feel their emotions. The people who do cry a lot, I would say that's like more healthy. They probably feel safe to feel their emotions, even though they're still being shamed a lot of the times.
Yeah, totally. Oh, and we'll get there. Actually, we're going to get there right now.
Yes.
Why is crying my automatic reaction every time I have a conflict with my husband? Can we just generally talk about crying as an automatic response to conflict as opposed to yelling?
Yes, it's actually biological. So when we have emotional tears, you've got different types of tears. The other ones are boring. They just help you with pain. So if you stub your toe, you're going to have a certain type of tear. It's going to release endorphins so that you feel less pain. Those are out of the way. The really interesting ones are our emotional tears. When you're having an emotion and tears come to your eyes, you will secrete oxytocin. What does that do?
Bonds.
So if you're with someone and you're in a moment of conflict, That's like your peace white flag.
OMG.
Isn't that cool? And it's so interesting because, academia has been very male focused, especially anatomy and physiology, which is the world that I really love. It's all men naming things after themselves.
Jack glands.
And then being like, and these people here with vaginas are little men. And we're not. So there was a researcher in the 80s. She started studying the female nervous system. And she understood after her study that when someone's in a stressed out state and they have more testosterone in their body, they will have fight, flight, or freeze. When someone has more estrogen in their body, they will actually go into a state called tend and befriend.
Oh, yeah. Tend and befriend.
Bitch, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's never talked about. Every single thing you see is fight or flight, but we have an entirely different reaction. So people who, their first reaction to frustration with another person in conflict and they cry, you're going to the step of befriend, which is genius. Genius. That's called world peace, people.
Yeah, no, literally, like, put women in power.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that leads me to want to relay the scores of thought spirals that were submitted that can generally be summed up by this question: is crying openly in an argument or confrontation manipulative?
No. People who say
You
it's...
knew exactly what I was going to say before I even finished.
I can picture the fucking guy who said that too. I think people who find a biological process like sneezing, I'm just kidding, crying, to be manipulative, or
Can you imagine someone sneezing and being like, stop manipulating
did
me?
you just fart? Did you just fart in an argument? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a normal biological process, people. People cry. It is something that is good for the human body. It releases cortisol. We are built to cry. It's not bad. No one's choosing it. It's a normal biological process. And it's not manipulative because of that reason in and of itself. It's not manipulative if you have to go to the bathroom during a fight, right? Like, it's just your body has to do what the body has to do. And people who say that are people who have been literally brainwashed into thinking that crying is weak and bad. What do a lot of parents say? Oh, like they say kids are manipulating you. Kids don't even have the cognitive ability to understand, I want one truth and I'm going to give, you know what I mean? They don't have that ability.
And if you've been told, I mean, I'll speak for myself, things that I was told about myself through an adult's lens, like from an adult's perspective, when I was a little child and like didn't even know what that was, low-key gaslit me and like informed who I thought I might be for the rest of my life.
The labels you get are insane.
Completely. And I'm like still working through that.
Yeah. Everybody. It's wild. I think parents should have to take, like, you know how parents have to take that course? It's like, here's how to diaper. They should take a course to just learn for the first 7 years, here's how the brain develops. Kids don't know how to lie until they're 5. Kids don't know how to share until they're 5. And imagine how many parents would just be like, oh, they don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah.
So they're not manipulating you. They actually have normal, basic physiological needs in which they are communicating to you. And you're looking at them and saying, you drama queen.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then one of my earlier thought spirals in preparing for this episode was like, why the fuck do we even cry? But when we're talking about evolutionary biology and like tend and befriend versus fight or flight, like these are survival tactics, I'm thinking like, well, one reason why crying might have developed in people is because like we need other people in order to survive.
But that's why Homo sapiens beat Neanderthals.
Because they couldn't cry?
Because women were making alliances.
Whoa.
By doing tend and befriend and gossiping.
Whoa. We won.
We won.
Species-wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with, does it make me a bad person for taking longer to cry after a traumatizing moment? / this connects to another person's question. If I don't cry when someone dies, am I a bad person?
No. It's just your nervous system. You are going to cry and process things when you feel safe. So I shared at the beginning of this episode, I lost my dad and my brother and didn't really have too many big emoting moments. And it wasn't until like literally years later that I started to feel it all. Because that's when my body decided, and when I took acid, when it was like, okay, you can now open this up to feeling it. That's kind of the simple answer, and it seems too simple to be true, but it is. Like, some people just have access to that because they feel more safe for whatever reason. Could be environment, could be past experiences, could be generational trauma, any of those. So you're not a bad person. Everybody truly does grieve in their own way.
Yeah. I had an experience when I was 27 or 28 where my cat David had just died an untimely death. And I went to a party and did a bunch of shrooms and was really connecting with the host's cat. And
As you do.
Yes. And that brought like so many tears to my eyes. And I was at this party crying over the beauty of this cat, the loss of my cat. And people were politely like averting their eyes. And I just remember having this feeling of like, why do we look away from people who are crying? Like, we don't look away from people who are laughing or from people who are emoting in other ways. I was like, this is actually a good trip, a good emotion. I'm okay if people perceive it. The hallucinogen piece is so interesting because I think one positive side effect of doing acid or shrooms is that you like shed so much of that negative cultural conditioning that teaches you to be insecure or whatever about certain things. And in those moments of drug-induced clarity, it's interesting that we both were like, oh my God, like we have to cry and we need to be surrounded by people in those moments. And I keep going back to that clarity that I had where I'm just like, the truth, which is like, crying is good. It is not manipulative. It is not embarrassing. But then again, we do live in society and we can't be on shrooms all the time.
No. This is how I found breathwork.
Okay.
Because I was like, I loved that feeling of like this openness to the world. And I need something that's going to help. I can't take acid every day.
Right.
I can't live like that. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all know the people who did the plant medicine route. And then they're like, I need to do it more. And you're like, I don't know if that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's what I think is the beauty about things like breathwork or anything else. I'm sure there's a multitude of different things that can give you a moment to tap into, okay, where am I at? What is the bullshit I've collected? And how can I just like dust myself off a little bit and get back to capital T truth of who am I? How am I feeling about the world? And how can I show up more present in my authenticity?
Yeah, those grounding exercises are so important. And still, there were people who were curious about the clash of sincere desires to cry and environments like the workplace. So several people wanted to know, is it okay to cry at work?
Okay, I've had several TikToks go viral on this topic and people arguing. My answer, if it were my workplace, 100%.
Yeah.
I know that when people cry, they reduce their stress. That helps them think more clearly. I would want the people at my workplace to be less stressed out so that they could be better at their jobs. They could be more creative. They could connect with other people. There's other people who don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I think you just have to look at who is your boss and how do they feel about it and how much do you care about your job and how much do you care about your job affecting your wellness.
Yeah. I think like in a vacuum, it's okay to cry at work, but there's no like one size fits all rule and people are going to have to like play it by ear.
There was a lot of nurses arguing because there's like things happening that are heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And there was some people saying, you know, there was a nurse who cried when yada yada happened and it made me feel better because I wasn't alone. I was experiencing this thing. And then there was other people saying that I found it very unprofessional when the doctor cried or when the nurse cried or whatever.
Wow.
So there's jobs like that. Or like if your therapist started crying, like how would you feel? Did I break you? Or is that okay? I don't know. It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
But ideally, I would want a world personally because I see it as a normal physiological process and not meaning anything beyond that. All of that is bullshit that society has kind of put on it. I would see it as just a normal human physiological process. Is like you have reached outside of your window of tolerance. You've reached an area of maybe too much stress, frustration, sadness, whatever, and you need to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's what you should do.
I guess like everybody's conditioning around crying is different. And so we're like not there yet. Okay. Someone wants to know, why do I sob at weddings?
Girl, same. Because it's love.
Yeah.
Like,
ultimate tendon befriend.
It's so sweet and tender watching it means a lot. I didn't really care. I eloped in a forest. Like I didn't have like a big wedding. I'm not a wedding person. However, you invite me to one, I'm ugly crying because it's like, it's a big thing for people to like join their lives together and it's all love and their family's there. It's a lot of emotion. But I also think there's other areas in life like concerts, marathons. If you've ever been to one, I cry at all of those things. I think that we can collectively share emotion. Like I think you pick up on this is very scientifically backed. I'm just kidding. It's not at all. I mean, we know that humans mirror neurons. Like we know that I can kind of pick up on your vibe by like your slight body language cues. And I think that happens in crowds. And I think that we can collectively heal and tap into the emotions of other people. And then it gives us agency.
Oh my God, no, I know this from like the cult research that I've done. Engaging in group rituals like dance or mantras or spiritual exercises, whatever, also releases those happiness chemicals. And that can be really cathartic and tears can flow. Oh my God.
Form strong bonds.
Exactly. Oh man, I probably cry the easiest at videos of really cute animals. I don't know what survival benefit that comes with.
I don't think all of it is survival benefits.
Yeah.
Like some of it is just you genuinely having emotions.
I just love little animals.
They are.
Speaking of sobbing at weddings, I'm going to a wedding this weekend. She just told me that there were going to be miniature donkeys at the cocktail hour, and I started crying.
That makes sense. That is not weird to me at all.
I just love cute animals so much. Okay, someone wants to know, why does my skin look amazing after crying?
Because it releases cortisol.
Say more.
So when we have a buildup of stress hormone in your body, I mean, there's like acute things and there's chronic things. So say you're chronically stressed for a long time. That's going to break down your collagen. That's going to break down kind of like your glow. Like the amount of like blood that's flushing to your face, like it shunts blood to your organs. So you kind of look pale. You might not sleep well, like all the things that we kind of don't really want. And when you cry, you release that. So a lot of the times you get like this oxytocin glow, which is the same kind of glow that you get after having an orgasm.
Or giving birth.
Or giving birth. Yeah, it's the same in pregnant women. It's the same. I don't know how it works. I wish there was a study, but again, it's primarily women. So like no one cares.
So no one cares.
But they're like, why are we going bald?
Yeah. Oh my God.
We gotta figure it out.
The anti-balding science is tip top.
Oh my God. Just somebody get them implants. Get them all implants so we can move on.
Totally.
But that would be my guess, is like the cortisol. And it affects so many things in our life. Like it'll affect your posture, right? Like when you're really stressed out, you're going to be like kind of hunching in on yourself.
Yeah.
As soon as you feel more open, you're less stressed out, you're more in a parasympathetic state, you feel more safe.
Yeah.
Like it really does make you hot to cry. That's how you get hot.
I agree completely, but there were some people saying that they don't get those benefits and that they feel exhausted.
I can talk to them.
Yeah, what's that all about?
The first thing I will say is that I don't know. So like a true person who's interested in knowledge, I don't know.
Cool.
But I have guesses. So I'm a chronic illness girly. I'll just put my hand up.
Okay, yeah.
So I've got POTS and mast cell activation syndrome. And that comes with a multitude of weird symptoms. There could be rashes. There could be puffiness. There could be also like when people cry and they get like that red rash all over themselves.
Yeah.
That's all histamines. My guess is that a large portion of those people might have some sort of
They're allergic to crying.
mast cell activation. Yeah, but it's not crying. It's emotions. So whenever you're in a state of like huge threat, which a lot of the times comes with crying, like I'm feeling so much fear or I'm feeling so much sadness and your body perceives that as threats, it will release histamines. And like not to go down the COVID whatever rabbit hole, but COVID was a disease that created chronic illness for a lot of people. One of the biggest things was mast cell activation syndrome.
Yeah.
I had it before COVID, but it got worse when I got it. And then now all these people have now joined me in like having POTS and like all these things that I've had a long time.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Because again, this is all just speculation from TikTok of people being like, look, why is my face all puffy? Why do I da-da-da-da? And I'm thinking like, this sounds a lot like mast cell activation syndrome. I think that you should look into histamines and like what that is. This is not medical advice or medical diagnosis.
It's a conjecture.
It's just hints. And like, I'm not a doctor. I just love anatomy and physiology. So that's my guess.
Okay. We
That's
love
my
a guess. We're guessing.
Yeah. If you're listening to this is not medical advice.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Allegedly. I want to ask like 2 more thought spirals, and then I have a final question for you. So you kind of hinted at this when you were talking about how like crying from pain is different from crying from emotion. But someone wants to know, do different tears have different compositions, as in happy versus sad versus angry tears?
I could speak to it a little bit. So they've only labeled it tears from pain or tears from emotion. Have we gone into dissecting what emotion? No.
Nor.
So we don't know. But I will say that when you release tears that have oxytocin under the umbrella of emotion, they have more proteins in them. So it slowly rolls down your cheek so that the other person is more likely to perceive it.
Stop. That's fascinating.
So next time you cry from pain, notice. So we can all do self-study.
Yeah.
So for the next few months, notice the viscosity of your own tears. Because tears from pain will just like drip really fast.
Yeah,
like they just come out. They're very watery. It's like noticing a good wine. When you like swirl it, you just put your cry into a wine glass, swirl it around and see the legs of your tears.
Wait, can someone please go on Shark Tank with the invention of like a crying wine glass that has like a cheek-shaped side for collecting tears so that you can study their viscosity?
I would invest.
Me too.
That sounds like $1 billion idea. But that's really interesting. So I would be curious. So you mentioned at the start that you were crying from frustration.
Yes.
I cannot tap into that yet.
Whoa.
When I'm frustrated, I just get angry. Like I want to punch someone. Like I'm like a boy. Like I'm like, well, let me punch the wall. Like I'm there right now. Yeah. And hopefully will not be there in the future. But I'm still opening up to the full expansion of being a human being and feeling things. But
I'm done.
When
I'm just kidding. I'm as open as I think I want to get. No,
I mean, we all have our own
joking.
thing. We all have our own thing, right? And I think my best friend, she's a Cancer. She cries at everything. When she's frustrated, she cries. And I'm always like, oh, bitch. Wish I could do that. But you could notice next time I cry from frustration, was it different than when I cried about David?
Oh, David. Thank you for remembering my cat's name. I guess it's kind of a distinct cat name.
I would remember anyways.
Thank you. Oh my God, yes. I'm going to cry into a wine glass.
So you guys, if you're following, you should put up like an ask and be like, what were the viscosity of your tears like today? And
we'll do a survey on the Magical Overthinkers Instagram. Tune in.
Quite thick, actually.
Quite thick. The legs. Oh my God, it was like this one was like a Bordeaux.
Yeah.
This one was more like a Pinot. The last question, this one's cerebral. I like it. Someone asks, why does my verbal explanation for why I'm crying never seem to fully capture it?
Now we're getting into language.
Yeah.
Because language can never, ever capture the essence of reality. And like
Sadly.
Our emotions are one of the most magical, deep things that we experience. And like this is the basis of all art.
Yeah.
Is like I'm having an emotion. I want the world to feel this too. I'm going to write a song. I'm going to do a painting. I'm going to write a book. I want you guys to experience this emotion with me. And it contains multitudes. And I'm going to use art to do it. So that's why. Because that's art.
I mean, yeah, like language is this weird, flawed, janky, grassroots art project that's not art that we all created over years as a result of like wars and migrations.
And it's so limited. Like I only speak English. I speak a little bit of French. There's other languages that have several different terms for love.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And like
tell me about
how
it.
do they feel?
Did
they feel different?
When I was 25, I like went through my first major earth-shattering breakup and then immediately went to Italy and fell in love with an Italian waiter.
I love this.
And it was like a whole thing.
Well, you just went back there for a bit. You're like eyes. You were like, yes.
Yes. But it was like a whole thing because I was only there for like a very short period of time. And our connection was like so impractical, but it was also very real. And in Italian, there are 2 different ways of saying I love you. And I think this is true in French too, but there's like ti voglio bene, which you say to your friends, your parents. And it basically means like, I want you to be well. And then there's the romantic ti amo, which you would only say to a committed romantic partner. And it was like a whole thing that we like never said ti amo to each other because we like weren't ready. It like wouldn't make sense to like fully give ourselves to that commitment because we knew it couldn't last. And that's just something that gets lost in English. But I mean, if someone, and this would be my dream, if someone spoke all 7,000 something languages in the world, then maybe they would have access to better explanations for why they were crying.
You've got to ask the character in your book.
I know.
Yeah, I don't even think that we've begun to be able to understand our own emotions. Like we have like happy, sad, guilt, shame, anger. That's kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like there's probably 1,000 emotions in between each of those emotions. And then they come layered and stacked on top of each other, and language will never.
I know.
And this has been one of the biggest limits of my life is worrying about that.
Yeah.
When it's like, it doesn't matter.
That's another thought spiral living rent free.
I don't need language for it. It doesn't have to make sense.
What
I don't
is your
have to
favorite
describe it.
emotion word that you have access to?
I don't have one. That's the whole point is like, I just want to feel it.
Yeah, you're like, I don't need to
There's
constrain
nothing.
it.
I don't need the story. I don't need the label of what it is. I just need to tap into the feeling and forget. And if I was going to guess, I think that as soon as we start to attach language to it, it might limit it.
Yeah. I mean, are you familiar with that book, My Stroke of Insight?
I love her.
Yeah.
Passionately.
Yes. So it was written by this brain scientist named Jill Bolte Taylor. She endured a stroke at a young age and temporarily lost all access to language. And when I first heard about this story, I was like, oh my God, that sounds like my own personal version of hell.
So your brain is hemisphered. She lost the whole left hemisphere of her brain.
Wild.
So anything that's structure, language, anything that has to do with compartmentalizing in order to understand, she lost it. So she was existing in like the whole right hemisphere, which is like, we're all connected.
Yeah.
And like her TED Talk is insane.
It is. And her Radiolab episode and her book. But yeah, she was just like this vessel of pure experience. And I was just like, oh, that does, I mean, honestly, us on shrooms. Or acid. Incredible. Okay. My last question for you is, what do you think is the number one thing people are overthinking with respect to crying? And what is the one thing people are underthinking?
Overthinking is, should I be doing this? What are other people thinking? I think you just have to kind of get into your own experience and like be there. Just be with you yourself and don't worry about what people said in the past or what people are thinking currently or what they'll say in the future. Just be with you and have your bodily function.
Beautiful. Be with you.
Be with you. What are they underthinking?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Cool. Think about it.
I want people to know that it is something they should be doing. Like I think people are I think they're underthinking everything about crying.
Okay, perfect.
I'm
nothing and everything.
Where are we? I just mean when I started doing the research, I was like, oh, this is insanely fucked up that we have this normal bodily function that we know that when you express your tears, when you cry, you are more likely to live longer.
Whoa.
You're more likely to have better relationships in your life. You're more likely to be more successful. You're more likely to not get cancer.
Okay.
You're more likely to not get autoimmune conditions.
Whoa.
It gets crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, and now we have women who are being told they shouldn't cry because it's manipulative.
Oh my God, they're killing us.
Fuck that. Exactly.
Okay, incredible. Thank you so much for joining this episode. If people want to keep up with you and your work, where can they do that?
Instagram is a good spot. We're there, Being Method, Breathwork. I wrote a book called How to Cry. So
what's your IG handle? Drop that handle.
Being Method Breathwork.
Being Method Breathwork.
Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Now's the time where I share a nugget of evidence-based advice for how we overthinkers can get out of our own heads this week. This one is inspired by the YouTube channel ASAP Science most recent video, at least at the time of this recording, titled The Foolproof Method to Falling Asleep Fast. And this tidbit is specifically for those who find themselves overthinking and getting in their heads late at night, contributing to insomnia. I learned from this wonderful video that if you find yourself lying awake and anxious in bed for multiple hours at night, it can condition you to perceive your bed as a place where unpleasant rumination happens. So if you've been awake for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, unable to fall back asleep because there's just too much going on in your brain, sleep scientists endorse getting out of bed. Don't turn on any bright lights. Definitely don't look at your phone. Either muddle around in the dark or try to access a form of lighting that's soft and amber in color. I have a little LED wick candle that I like. If you Google wick LED candle, you'll find it. And then engage in a low stimulation activity like reading or worry dumping, like writing down all of the things that you're holding in your head that are preventing you from falling asleep. Make sure the temperature in your home is low. And then once you've finished engaging in that activity, hopefully you'll feel tired enough to fall back asleep. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in. And until the next thought spiral, remember, think it over. Just don't overthink it. Magical Overthinkers was created and hosted by Amanda Montell and edited by Jordan Moore of The Pod Cabin. Our theme music is by Casey Kolb. Thank you to our magical manager, Katie Epperson, coordinator, Reese Oliver, and Network Studio 71. Be sure to follow the pod on Instagram at Magical Overthinkers. We're also on YouTube, link in show notes, and ad-free episodes as well as behind-the-scenes extras are available on the Magical Overthinkers Substack at amandamontell.substack.com.